Well, if you guys ever have an urge to spend a lot of money real quick, go in the lumber business. Or just buy yourself some heavy equipment. Yeah, the bills are racking up around here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wasn't maybe planning on making a video today, but well, I figured I might as well, because as per usual around here, I got myself into a project. Let's go into the shop and I'll show you what I'm working on. So it always seems like it's the dumb little things that set you back. You guys know this loader if you've been watching the channel. I use it all the time. It's in a lot of the videos. It's the workhorse around here, moving things, back and forth. And I've had it, geez, I don't know how many years now, quite a few. And it's always been super reliable. I've never had any super major issues with it beyond normal wear and tear and maintenance. And well, that's pretty much holding true. But Friday, I got done sawing some logs and I had some free time. And there's one thing that's been really bothering me with this. The gas pedal. It's been sticking, and it's been sticking for a long time, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And I had some downtime, and I thought, well, I'm gonna back it into the shop here, and we're gonna tear this thing apart. I'm gonna get this fixed the right way, because I've been spraying it with lubricant and trying to, unstick it, and it just keeps getting worse to the point where I'm getting a little nervous that, when you let your foot off the gas and it sticks and you got to really push the bottom of the pedal to get it to return, it was not fun to operate anymore. So I figured now's the time I'm going to tear this apart. So, of course, brilliant move on my part. Friday afternoon on a holiday weekend, I decided to tear into this thing. Well, guess what? Here's your gas pedal. Guess what? It ain't in there. So the machine is now down, and I'm waiting on parts from Cat. But let me show you what I found. This was a fight to get this thing out. And like I said, I wasn't planning on making a video, but now I'm into the project, I figured I might as well pick up the camera. So I found out why it was stuck. These are the two bearings that go in that shaft, and I don't know if you can tell. Well, they used to be bearings. There were two roller bearings, and well, they're pretty much shot. The one downside I found with this machine, this was a municipality-owned machine before I had it, and it was relatively low hours and really good shape, except for one problem. They used it to load salt. Well, you guys know what salt does to steel, and apparently there were a lot of guys driving this with salty boots, and it's amazing how the salt gets into stuff like this on the pedal. You can see the pedal's all rusty, and just kind of ate away, wore out those bearings. So I got bearings ordered. That's not a big deal. They were like 40 bucks. Hopefully they'll be in this afternoon. I can pick them up. I was going to replace the pedal right away. I was going to splurge. I thought, well, while I'm in there, got it all apart. I'll replace the pedal. I'll replace the shaft. This here, anybody take a guess on what that costs? $500. It's about $150 for this little shaft. $350 for the pedal. Yeah, you gotta love Caterpillar, don't you? So I decided not to replace that, but with all this rust, I had to get a little bit creative. See, the way it's supposed to work, there's a set screw on here, and you're supposed to pull this pedal off the shaft, and then the whole thing drops through the floor and you can work on it. Well, this was so seized up, and there's no room to work up there in the cab. It's right next to the brakes, and you just can't get any tools in. So what I ended up doing was just cutting a wider hole in the floor with the plasma cutter and dropping it all down, which I know sounds pretty terrible, but it worked. And now I'll be able to put it back in reverse order so I can reuse this stuff, and I'll seal the hole up, and trust me, it'll be fine. So that honestly was not a terrible deal. It was a little bit of a fight, but once I got it out, I could show you, but it's not gonna mean anything to you. Got it all out, got the parts ordered. Now I'm here with no loader. kind of limits a lot of what I can do. So I thought, well, while the machine's in here, let's just go through it and grease it. And well, then we started going down the rabbit hole. So I was greasing in here and I started looking. The center pin is working its way up. That's a pretty major deal, because if it comes up high enough, it's going to hit that drive shaft, and that's going to be a problem. And if it would happen to work its way up far enough, the whole machine will pretty much fall apart. So I did some exploring on that. What I figured out was there's 2 bolts missing underneath here that hold that pin in, and it's just loose in there. So I had to get a bottle jack and put it in here and move some hoses. That's why I got oil everywhere. I was doing a great job keeping everything clean right up until I wasn't, until I spilled some, and well, now it's a mess. It's all right, we got sawdust to clean that up. But anyway, I rigged a bottle jack from the bottom pin to the top frame and pushed that back in, and I spun it, and it's all lined up, and I just got 2 bolts that'll fit, because of course everything's metric and I have the right bolts on hand. So you're gonna get that bolted back in, everything's greased, and while we're at it, we're a couple hours away from an oil change. So I'm gonna change the oil on this girl, and hopefully all our little nagging problems are fixed with this machine. We hope, until the next one pops up. So let's play a game of how much more oil we can spill on the floor. First thing we'll do is put on some gloves. This one is actually not too terrible at all. I got my 5-gallon bucket. I'm gonna put that underneath, and if you can see, probably can't, there's a little drain valve there, and that's on the bottom of the oil pan. And you just turn that and she'll start draining. So I don't even have to get underneath for this. That's pretty nice. So I got my genuine cat filter here. I always use cat filters. I don't know, I guess I just like the yellow color. They say it's the right thing to do. Always put your hours and date on the filters. I have a bucket down below to catch the oil here. Believe it or not, I try to do this cleanly. It just never works out for me. But I make an effort. Well, while that oil is draining, we're gonna button up this mess over on this side. Got to put that hose back together and then get underneath and put these 2 bolts up in to lock in that center pin. I just thought of something in my head, totally random. You guys remember the movie Crocodile Dundee? You remember the famous quote from that movie? That's not a wrench. That is a wrench, and that's what it's going to take to put that hydraulic line back on. 1 5/8. Let's do it. These giant hydraulic lines are just so lovely to work with. Said nobody ever. Just so you guys know, everything looks better through the power of editing. That was actually about a 20-minute fight to get that thing started. You fight and fight and fight, and then just like that, it drops on. Takes a little patience, but you always get it done eventually. Should have left my latex gloves on. What a sloppy mess this is. Awesome. Messy? Yes, absolutely. But look at how it sucked that center pin right down in there, right where she belongs. So I'm pretty happy with that. I got some cleanup to do. Squeezed a bunch of grease out. Smarter man would have fixed that first and then greased it, but it's done. Oil's done draining. Didn't spill a drop. Don't even worry about that 3 gallons that's on the other side of the machine there. So it's going to take most of that bucket, in fact, that whole bucket. I know that because, well, that's what the Bible tells me. Try to keep a service manual on all my machines. These Cat ones are literally every nut and bolt. They tell you that's for the loader, that's for the truck engine. They're not cheap, but they're worth their weight in gold when it comes to working on this stuff. I'm not that smart, but I can read, so that helps me work my way through a lot of these things. So, I already got my funnel in place. Wish I had one of those fancy air-operated oil pumps, but I still do it the old-fashioned way, and it's a pretty good workout. You know, I was just mentioning that I'm not that smart, and that's the truth, but it's amazing what technology can do for you. I've been using a lot more AI and just technology in general here around the sawmill, and it helps a lot. It helps with productivity. Maybe one day I'll make a video about that. Well, she's oiled up. Let's start it up and check for leaks. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I can start it up with a big hole in the floor. I'm not moving it anywhere. That's pretty much right on the money. That'll do. Well, we got her in pretty good shape here. Fixed those nagging problems. Minus the gaping hole in the floor and the fact that, you know, we still can't operate it, but don't let those little details bother you. That's pretty easy. As soon as those parts come in, I'll get that slapped back together and she'll be better than new. That was half the battle. Then, in my infinite wisdom, I thought, well, loader's down. Can't really do anything with that, can't move any logs or lumber. Let's tear the truck apart. Smart, right? Well, luckily I didn't get too carried away. Truck's actually been running decent, but I've got one thing that drives me insane. And I'm sure if you've seen some of the videos or you go back and watch some of the videos, you can hear it. It chirps. The belts chirp. It sounds like I got a bird's nest under the hood, and it drives me insane. So I took the belt off this morning and I was fiddling around here, and all my major stuff seems to be all right. I honestly think it's a tensioner. So I got on the old interwebs there, and $400 later, I've got a tensioner coming and 2 idler pulleys, and we're gonna see if we can't get that straightened out. it's not the end of the world, but honestly, it's a little bit embarrassing when you pull into somewhere and it's just chirping like crazy. So I actually have a new belt, and like I said, when those pulleys come, I'm gonna slap them on and we'll see what we can do there, straighten that out. But this actually has to run tomorrow. I gotta haul some lumber, so I couldn't get too carried away. That luckily kept me from getting too carried away because, well, if you haven't figured out, I'm quick to just tear stuff apart. So I don't know. It's one of them things, when you spend money, you seem to spend a lot of money. I'm probably $800 into both these projects, which is not horrible, believe me, by any stretch. I've spent way, way more than that, but I get some tools cleaned up here, get my oil spill cleaned up, and wait for parts to come in. But I'm gonna turn on my awesome stereo. And I can't do that with you guys listening in, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to let you go. If you were wondering what we accomplished in this video, well, pretty much absolutely nothing, to be honest. You guys just hung out with me in the shop. This is just a normal day around here. Just keep your ears open in the next couple videos. You're gonna hear a loader that runs real nice, and you're gonna hear a truck that doesn't sound like a flock of seagulls. So that's something to look forward to for me and you. All right, I'm done rambling. I'll catch you next time.